We're live?
Rotate your phone.
Okay.
We're live.
Okay, sorry guys. We're live again. Sorry about that. I hope you all can see that we're live again. I don't know. Can they see that we're live again?
Yeah.
Okay. We're live again. I'm sorry. We had a blip and it shut off. Here goes the granite. Here goes the crowded pot. There is a lot of wool in a little bit of a pot. Okay? A lot of wool in a little bit of a pot. There we go. A lot of wool in a little bit of a pot. Okay? And I am going to move it. Okay. I am going to squish it. We'll just have to post this in 2 videos. I apologize, but the electronics we can't figure out. There we are. Okay? And I'm going to let this soak. When you do a crowded pot, you don't want a lot of movement. It's going to move itself because it's crowded in the pot. Okay? Because it's crowded in the pot. And actually, I could take this piece from here, because it's already wet, and throw it in if I so desired to. I'm not going to, but you could. This pot could be a little more crowded than what it already is. Okay? And when we go to take it out, you'll get all different values of the gray. And as you can tell, the granite is very gray.
So that was nice. Jen Johnson says, that's okay, Lisanne.
I just stopped and we just continued along. So there you go. Sorry about that.
We don't know why it cut off. It just ended in front of me. So yes. I'm sorry, Carol. I have no idea why it cut off. I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, we didn't touch anything. It just blipped. Last time we had an emergency broadcast system come up while we were videoing, so who knows. Now, so that is done. We'll take that out later, and that's all we have soaked. Now, can these be reused? Can you continue to use them? Sure, we could add more wool if we had it soaking. You can keep doing it till it exhausts till clear. That is not a problem. Now, I'm going to show you what these look like after they've been dyed. All right. Here we go. So, the red grape dips, and you can go all the way from dark to light. That is the red grape dip spot. Okay? The other one was the canary dip spot to your light. Okay? Now, the one that we used and we dipped in, and I want to show you these because most people think you have to use a long, narrow piece to dip spot, and you do not. Okay? So, when we went from the red grape and then went into the yellow pot, when I did this last night so you would have dry samples, I did it on a 1/4 yard. You don't have to use long and narrow. And you can see all the variation of color that we got. Okay? Here is another one that I did with the narrow. And as you can see with the narrow, you don't get as much variation of the color. It's a little more solid, a little more to do a straight shading. This is more for a watercolor effect, and this is more for a straight shading.
Liz Smith says those are gorgeous colors.
Thank you, Liz. Now, here's what I did with the yellow. And remember I swirled in just a couple of jars of the red grape? And this is how it dried. It just looks like a rose. Or a peony. If we ever get them this year. It maybe snow tonight, you know, you never know. But see how the modeling occurred? And it would create a watercolor effect. Also a nice sunrise, not just flowers. Now, here is the flesh tones that came out. And I want to explain a little bit about the flesh tones. As you can tell, these were tan when I started. I had a lot of little pieces here and there. And so by putting them in the exhaust of the yellow pot with the red grape added to it, this is what we got for flesh tones. A whole depth of flesh tones that can go into your stash, and when you need a little piece or a big piece, you have all of it. Okay, so this is going to go into my flesh tone pile and be used for Santas when we do Christmas in July, and I show you how to hook a Santa face. We will probably use some of this as well. Okay, now let's go on to the second one that I did, which was the Flower Power Pink and the Granite. Here is the swirled pot, okay? So you can see the variation of color. It's not got a little variation to it, a lot of movement to it when you put it together. Okay. Then what I did is I took the Flower Power Pink again and I put a yard in it. And I didn't demonstrate that because that's just when the power hit. And I put in 1/28, I just dropped it in, of bright green into the pot. Stirred it, put the piece in, and I got a little bit of modeling with the green in it. And that's our bright green mixed in with Flower Power Pink. Now, here comes our granite. Here's our modeling. There's the granite. And that was from the crowded pot. That was from the crowded pot. Okay? So I think that it just about concludes, unless there's any questions that have come up.
Sure. Jan Johnson is asking, can you give us an amount of dye per pot again?
Oh, sure. What I did with the red grape, okay, and I have it right here, okay, for the red grape, which was the dip dye, I did a 1/4 teaspoon in the pot. The canary, I did 1/8 of a teaspoon. When I went to combine these two together, I just spooned in till I liked it, what was left, what was exhausted from the pot. But these were the initial measurements for the dip dye. In my pot dye, when I went with Flower Power Pink, I used 1/64, only 1/64 of a teaspoon, and you see how bright it becomes, okay? And that was over white. Now, it would be toned down if you did it over gray or over our oatmeal or something like that, but this is over our white. Then, when I added the bright green in to the pot, I used 1/128 to do this. The granite, I used a 1/4 teaspoon. Okay? I used a 1/4 teaspoon. So that's what these are. And if you notice, the granite has a nice color and a nice wave to it. If you want, and in each pot, I put a 1/4 teaspoon of citric when I put the dye in, so that my dye bath would grab instantly.
No vinegar.
Okay.
We talked about that early on, but let's talk about it again.
Sure. Citric. I wanted it to grab fast. I don't want to stand here all day. I could use the arm movement, but I didn't want to, and we didn't want the podcast to be 2 hours. Vinegar is a slow uptake. Even industrial white vinegar uptake, and you want it to take up slower, you use vinegar. I would have used a 1/4 cup of vinegar in each pot, but I wanted it to grab quickly. That's why you have to continually move it, and I used the citric so it would grab quickly.
So Sonia Kiss is asking about, but if you do not have those measuring spoons like 1/28 or 1/64, what else could you use? Do you want to talk a little bit about the benefit of the measuring spoons and or you put them in the salt?
Yeah, the measuring spoons, I use the measuring spoons because we have them. These are the gray dye spoons and our Todd spoon, our triple over dye spoon. I use these so that it can be precise and recreate. Okay, if you don't have the dye spoons and you want to use the dye and you don't want to buy the dye spoons, you can use the measuring spoons a smidgen, a pinch, and a dash. and they have direct correlations. But do not use plastic dye spoons, please. Plastic dye spoons with the acid dyes, any of them, they stick, they don't clean properly. You need to use the metal spoons, okay? And the smidge and pinch and dash, they do have equivalents. And then the salt that's in here, the kosher salt, why I keep doing this is I'm cleaning them.
And then you even reuse your salt.
Yes, I reuse my salt. There's
well.
another video. When the salt gets too dirty, I reuse the salt and I dye the wool with it. It is a total process that we do. Any other questions? Well, we're sorry for the blip, but it will come in 2 videos. We will post this one as well. I thank you all. I hope you all have a happy Easter, a happy spring, and enjoy it, and we'll see you again next month. So thank you from the W. Cushing Dye Kitchen, and thank you Rogue Cooking Magazine for this opportunity. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye now.